Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Central, coming to you live from Fresno, California, in the middle of the central San Joaquin Valley. City called Fresno, the city that I call haunted as heck. My co-host, Alan Thomas, to the right of me.
Good evening, everyone.
And we have an in-house guest today, Adam Gorightly. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right. And we are going to be talking about, well, this guy, author, has several books out right now, and he has written just about everything you want to know about, and everything paranormal. I mean, we're going to be talking about the Illuminati, conspiracy theories, the Manson family, where that's his profession, and we're going to talk about him, and we're going to get into it. So everybody stay tuned, sit back, relax, hope you have a nice, hot, cold beverage, whichever that may be. And we're going to go ahead and get into it, and we're going to have some fun tonight. We're going to have him for the full 2 hours. So I can't wait.
And we're going to give away a book.
And we got a book of his that we're going to be giving away to the 150th caller. No, just kidding. Yeah, Keith is going, well, what? So, all right. We're going to bring it down here. Hello, everyone. God, we just made it back in time. I had a Christmas gathering today with one side of the family. So we got half the side of the family done. And we got the next one on Christmas Day, and I got here an hour before, and it's crazy, you know, because, you know, obviously you have family and you have things to do, so that sort of comes first. But man, without speeding down the street to get here, because Alan was already waiting for me out the door. So, all right, hello everyone again. I mean, my voice is probably gone, but that's okay. We're gonna be talking about everything you want to know about paranormal. Adam has written a lot of great stuff. He has a book out, several books out, but the one we're going to really get into, because it's about California, is the Happy Trails to High Weirdness. The Conspiracy Theorist Tour Guide.
There you go.
And this is California?
It deals some California and different experiences I've had. And
okay.
I'd have to go through the table of contents.
Yeah, right on.
Give me an idea.
All right. So I'll tell you what we're going to do first is we're going to contact Ken Pfeiffer. And we're going to have our UFO report first, and then we'll call Danny Valderrama and get into our Bigfoot reports. And then we'll go ahead and start talking to Adam, and we got him for the full 2 hours. So go ahead and call. And he's on? Hey, Ken, are you there?
Hey, how you doing?
How's it going, Ken?
Hi, Ken.
Good.
All right, awesome. All right, we got Ken Pfeiffer on from MUFON, who's on the East Coast, and he is going to be giving us, again, every week, he's going to be giving us updates on the past week, or if there wasn't really any great sightings, he's going to pull up some of his archive and show us some great photographs. Now, for all those who are on the Dark Matter Network, you can go and see these photographs now on the artbell.com website. So if you are listening to us right now on the Dark Matter Network, you can go to artbell.com and pull up these photographs that we're going to be talking about, and Ken is going to be giving us a brief description on each one. So we're going to go ahead and talk about UFO number 1. So go ahead, Ken, tell us about UFO number 1.
And these are 2 of the latest that he sent us. And basically, his statement is, I think these craft are high in the sky, not in space, and yes, you may use my name. There was 2 of these ships, one over our mountain to the north, a red craft, and a blue one south over our nearest mountain. These mountains are just 1 block away and average around 2,000 feet. I don't think my camcorder could film a star. I will try. Wait, let me click on here. I'm getting some feedback here from your.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
turn on the computer.
We lost electricity the night of these 2 UFOs. Me and a friend sat and watched. The next morning, my neighbor's daughter pulled in. I said hello and asked how did you like the power outage last night? And her reply was, my son kept saying the aliens are here, Mommy. So I told her there was a blue UFO over that mountain and a red UFO over that mountain, and she said she has seen them before. Another neighbor of mine, an elderly woman in her 80s, told me that when we had Westfield days many years ago, when she was a kid, a giant craft covered the sky during the Westfield Days events. It stopped the town in its tracks. They sent everyone home. It was a circular craft pie cut. Each section was a different color, and it was rotating. It was so big it covered the sky. The town folk ran in fear. And apparently there has been some incredible sightings in this Westfield, Pennsylvania area. Did you show a photo too?
Yeah, I got the photo up. You know what? I'm looking. I actually see a freaking body on here. I mean, I see a head, and I see. I mean, is that what you guys see?
Yeah.
I mean, I see like
there's an alien
like
in
an
there.
alien in that thing, dude.
Well, this guy here, he has a excuse me. He uses a JVC Avrio camcorder. It's got a 35 optic zoom on it, and nothing really that expensive. But of course, these photos here, I had to enlarge them and enhance them a little bit, so you wouldn't be seeing just dots on the screen.
Right.
But this is what's there, and it's even the other one, the picture 2, it shows that there's something inside that one too.
Okay, let's pull up picture number 2, because that one is freaking me out, dude. All right.
Maybe paranormal, or you guys deal with the the fairies and all that.
Exactly.
Kind of
I mean, it's just. I mean, what I was looking at. I mean, yeah. I don't know if that was coming from a ship and like beaming down, and he caught it at the correct time, or it could just be just a weird, just one of the anomalies. I mean, that looked like an alien. I don't know, but okay, we got number 2 up here. And this one, obviously,
number 2 has something, seems to have some structure inside of that one also.
Yeah, that one, I mean, the other one, number 1, had more of an apparent structure to it, and that I could definitely see. They had the body, arms, the legs, and even one eye on the side of the face of number 1. This one here, I don't know. What do you guys see on this one?
Kind of the same, but maybe it's like contorting, from a different angle. You know what I mean? Like now you're seeing it from the head down and the knees. You know what I mean? Okay. Like maybe it turned and you're looking at the head and shoulders and then the knees right there.
Wow.
Like in a sitting position.
Wow. Weird. Very cool, dude. Okay.
Do you think they're able to shapeshift too?
Oh, there you go. Shape-shifting on the way down or whatever they're doing. So very cool. Very cool. All right. We're going to go to number 3.
Okay. Now, number 3, we're always hearing about orbs. Now, this one was very unique. Sometimes we get some unique orb photos in, and, of course, this one has been enlarged. This one here is March 13th, 2007, from Winthrop, New York. It's a MUFON case file, and the mysterious part about this is I checked the MUFON case file just to double-check my information, and the photos is gone. It's missing.
What?
So I don't know what that's all about, but let me read the statement from the witness here.
Okay.
It's a bright, shining object, approximately the size, maybe slightly smaller, of my thumbnail at arm's length. Object / light hovered in one spot for about 2 minutes, then disappeared when my camera autofocus beam went off. I was at the computer. My wife was doing dishes. We both kept hearing unusually loud, low-pitched rumbling sound going overhead. There are no regular flight paths over my place at this time of day, and very few at the time of day. There are no major airports nearby. Fort Drum is approximately 80 miles southwest of my location. There were no stars or moon visible. There was a low cloud cover, and it was quite windy. I went outside, and this time there was a single, very bright white light shining like a star over my neighbor's barn, who happens to be a detective with the New York State Troopers. And he was also outside with his family, observing and commenting in an exciting way about the light object. It wasn't reflecting like the moon. It was shining, sparkling, or emitting light. So apparently this object here has had quite a few witnesses, and apparently he must have took this picture. He said it was cloud cover, but from the background, it looks like there may be some stars in the area, so he may have captured this photo in between, the clouds. But I thought this one was very interesting.
Yeah, it looks awesome. I don't know what to even describe. I mean, what this even looks like. It's just one of those weird anomalies. So cool. Okay, we're gonna go to number 4.
Looks like a snowball.
And again, for all those who are on listening to us on Dark Matter, you can go to artbell.com, and these pictures are right now on the artbell.com website, and you can follow them as we're going with it through with Ken. So, all right, we're on number 4 right now.
Okay,
what do we
number
have?
4. We get a lot of photos like this, and of course, a lot of the investigators, MUFON, and a lot of other investigators from other UFO organizations, they basically try to write these things off as Chinese lanterns, but I don't think it's the case. This was September 24th, 2011 in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Of course, you know that's a highly haunted area, Gettysburg is. And a brief statement is, after flying a good distance, it stopped and hovered still in place for about 4 minutes. Now, that's telling me right there it can't be a Chinese lantern because they just don't stop and hover. They're usually traveling in a certain direction at a certain speed. My mother-in-law was able to take pictures at this time. After the 4th minute had passed, the orange color had then turned white. Me and my mom just looked shocked, like, oh, my heavens. It was very weird and creepy, we felt. We stayed outside for a good 45 minutes talking about it after to see if it would be able to spot any more. My husband was puzzled and said how he thought it was weird, too. My mom then plugs her camera into the laptop and loads the pictures she took. The pictures created more confusion as to what it originally could have been. They were not good pictures, but if you would to zoom in on them, you can see the object better. So this was, I thought this was there was a couple photos attached with this one, and you know, I just we get a lot of photos like this, and quite frankly, I'm not really sure what it is.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, again, you know, lights can play tricks on you, but on the if that actual flame wasn't there, I see E.T.'s head in the background.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, yeah, I know, I'm crazy. But all right, we're gonna go to number 5.
It's like a tongue of fire.
Okay, now this is probably one of the neatest UFO aliens.
This is cool.
I say alien craft. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not, but you'll find kind of frowns upon me calling these things alien craft. They just like to call them UFOs.
Now, wait. Now, why do they not want you to do that?
I don't know. I really don't know. You know, they even with their classifications, when we investigate, you know, cases, there is nothing there that we can mark off or check off that says alien craft or something like that. It's basically it's
UFO, unidentified, huh?
Yeah, unknown. We have to check off unknown. And you know, it's kind of weird because you tell me, you know, MUFON's been around since the end of Project Blue Book, 1969, and you tell me there is not one picture that they can say is an alien craft. It's very puzzling to me.
Wow. I mean,
I wonder if it has anything to do with that guy that bought it.
Well, how long have they been not allowing you to say alien craft? Has this been on the books forever?
From what I understand, I've been with MUFON since around, I guess, about 2005, I think, is when I first started. And you know, on their classification, on their sheet that we have to fill out, you know, there's nothing there that's, you know, MUFON never says alien craft.
Right. Yeah.
They always say UFO, and you know, I think, quite frankly, I think it's about time that we step up and do this whole UFO investigation thing. We got to start from scratch and revamp it. We have to modernize it. And it's there's just many things that need to be fixed. Let me put it to you that way.
Yeah.
But,
well, alien doesn't.
This photo is incredible. This is one of a few photos, and this was over in Michigan. It was October 27th, 2013, over Port Huron, Michigan. The statement is, I live in a rural part of Michigan. The closest major city is Port Huron. I saw this object near my home on the night of October 27th, 2013. So I followed it down a public road. Then it turned, so I had to turn into a private, unmarked road, which is probably used for farm equipment, to tend to the adjacent field crops. At that point, I was running out of road to go any further, so I got out of the vehicle to take a better view of it, and suddenly the object started moving towards me. It startled me, so I ran like hell for a little bit. It was making a very strange, low, whirling noise. So please try and turn up your speaker volume to hear it better. He had something on the case file where you could hear it, but quite frankly, I really couldn't it was very hard to determine what it was. Then continuing with his statement is, once I moved a distance back, I zoomed out the camera a bit more and noticed the object was hovering directly over my vehicle. Then it started to lower itself as it slowly rotated directly over my roof. At that point, it appeared to be shining a very bright green beam over it. Then suddenly it shot straight up into the sky, and the whirling sound disappeared at the exact time it vanished. This was a very eerie experience, and even my hair was standing on end through the entire time and felt as if there was highly dense static electricity in the air. So, as a matter of fact, this case file is from Billy Booth and UFOcasebook.com. I thought it was very interesting, and of course I did add the photo onto my website, worldufophotos.org. So I thought this is probably one of the best UFO photos you're going to find.
That's a really good one. Depending on how it was in rotation or how it's, I don't know the actual shape of it, but you definitely can see a structure to it. I mean,
yeah. There's a couple photos. You can check it out on UFO Facebook, or just Google the date, and all these things come up, and there's a few pictures, and it looks.
We'll call you next Sunday, same time, same bat channel, right?
Sounds good. You guys have a great holiday and a very happy New Year.
You too.
See
Merry
you later,
Christmas.
Ken.
Bye.
Take care. See ya.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, see ya. All right. See, we just lost the live stream thing. It's getting ridiculous, guys. We are pretty much done with live stream. It's not. It's just messing us up, man.
And I did a lot of research. I even posted something on Facebook, and I found it isn't us. It's really not the computer.
Right.
We're sending a stream all the way to New York, and it's dropping us out for some reason. At the live stream.
Right.
And we're not the only one. If you go on there and type in live stream problems, that's the problem, the main problem with live stream.
Right. So we're thinking about going to Ustream, guys, but give us a little bit. We're working out the details. We're trying to find the right streaming facility for us, because yeah, go ahead and plug them in. So, all right. So we got Danny coming on. Danny, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
What's going
Danny.
on? So, hey, you sick yet? Did your daughter get sick?
Not sick.
Not sick yet.
Hanging in there.
Daughter.
Are you guys back on the air? You guys got knocked off.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So, all right, Danny, on what we're just talking about. Danny's daughter she's in the Coast Guard and came down for Christmas vacation, and she gets the flu thanks to Danny.
Yeah.
So, oh wow.
Got the flu. Her fiance got the flu.
Oh, bummer. Wow. So, all right.
Not me. I'm taking NyQuil every day.
He's up on the drugs. All right, Danny. Anything going on with the big guy?
Yeah, we had a person this was from a post that Alan posted. A gentleman by the name of Norm Glasser came forward with a picture of he had a story and a picture of something that he said crossed the road in front of him, and he had a camera with him. And he picked up the camera and he took a picture, and when he lifted up the camera, the creature was standing on the side of his door there.
Whoa.
So he took a picture real quick.
How did I miss that one?
He posted that picture. I put that link on your Facebook page, and it showed us a picture of the creature standing right next to his window.
Whoa, I missed that one, dude.
Well, turn it.
And some guys went and interviewed him, and they were pretty much believing his story. Mm-hmm. But when the picture got posted online, everybody, the best thing that you could do is probably go to all these roadside stores and Bigfoot shops, all these tourist traps that are along the highways. Get familiar with everything in there, take pictures and all that stuff. So when you see these pictures come online, if something doesn't look right, you take a look at all the pictures that you took. That's what a fellow by the name of Adam Bird did, and he recognized that picture when it was posted. Wait a minute, I've seen that before. And it turns out in
creepy.
Lebanon, Tennessee, there's a creature there by the name of they call it the Sugar Flat Road creature, or the creature of Sugar Flat Road. He recognized that from a roadside antique store that they had in the window. There's a big legend there that some guy ran over a creature over there. He was with his girlfriend. They panicked, they hid the body, and they came back the next day. He came back to bury it, but decided to take a trophy, so he took the head. And somehow it ended up in this antique shop, and this is what that person, Lauren Glasser, took a picture of.
Okay,
if
so
you see the picture, there's a reflection like it's being taken
so you're
through a
okay.
piece of glass.
So you're saying it's a hoax then?
Yeah.
It was a hoax. Yeah.
Wow. No wonder
and
I
everything
didn't.
about it, the story was pretty convincing.
Yeah, it was.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Forward said, hey, he took a picture of it, sent it in, so there's a side-by-side comparison, and they're exactly the same.
See, it's too bad we don't have like a Bigfoot police, you know, to bust them.
Be good.
Because
well,
because you know what, people like
in the community are.
Yeah, people like that are messing.
In on all those roadside things, they get familiar with everything in there. So if somebody tries to hoax us, one of them comes forward and say, "Hey, wait a minute, I've seen this before.
Right.
Here it is." That's perfect.
And yeah, but you know what? They're messing us up, you know, for the real investigators, you know, people like that. And there are several people who are still doing it. And I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get busted for it. Because, but you guys all know who, you know, for those who are in the Bigfoot, you know, investigators and who follow Bigfoot really closely, there's, you know, about a handful of people who like to pull hoaxes, who reel in you guys, who post up these ridiculous photographs, and you know they're hoaxes, but yet, you know, people who aren't really into what we're into take it as fact. And, you know, that just, and sometimes...
One of the main reasons they do it is because if you post a video onto YouTube, if you get a certain amount of views, they start paying you.
Yep, they monetize it.
And so if you show ads on your videos, they start paying you. And that's what these guys are doing. They're trying to make something so outrageous that everybody goes over there and views it. And they're making money off of it.
Yep, they monetize it.
So,
and
no matter if it's true or not.
So, Danny, what about the one? Have you seen the one where the Bigfoot is saying Mike, you know, and I think it's from
that was the one from Ontario.
Yeah. What do you think about that one? I mean, some are saying it's a hoax, and then some are saying, you know, I kind of am like leaning towards it's not really a hoax. But.
Yeah. Well, that was the guy that was getting a lot of good information from one spot.
Right.
And, that's kind of questionable still.
Yeah, I couldn't. I'm not going to say yay or nay on that. I don't know.
True, but
I thought about like we should air that.
I think they do have their own language.
We did. Actually, we did in the other studio. I played where it was you know all that, and even you know people came on and said, "Really, Jeff? Come on, are you kidding me?"
Well, there's a better one that just came out like maybe last week.
Is there a better one?
Yeah, there's a new one out, and
I did see that Elizabeth Ann Martinez posted.
Yeah,
a little thing that kind of got lost in there, but it was really interesting.
Yeah,
you know how the Indians all have their own names for Bigfoot. Each tribe has their own name, so and it's part of a legend that goes back forever. And if they have names for creatures that they've seen, like birds and animals and all that stuff, if they have a name for a Bigfoot, then they're seeing something out there. And this is the thing that she posted was about the Mormons who had a Bigfoot sighting from 1938, and they have it documented. A gentleman by the name of David W. Patton was riding his horse, and he looked to the left, and there was a creature walking alongside of him that was the same height as he was, even though he was on his horse. And he said he wore no clothing, he was covered in hair, and his skin was very dark. But he said that this thing... He spoke to him, and he said that he was a wanderer on the earth, and he just traveled around to and fro, and his mission was to destroy the souls of men.
Whoa!
I don't even know. I don't even know where to go with that one.
That almost goes with like what
everybody has. These are ancient, like these are from the 1900s. Everybody has something about him. Even Teddy Roosevelt had his own sighting that he reported. So there's definitely something out there.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. Or I haven't seen it. Alan has.
I seen it. It's real, and it's buff. And it didn't try to destroy my soul, but I didn't go back to the mountains for 6 years.
Yeah, and you know what? You said that the creature that you saw was 10 feet tall.
Yeah, easy.
The truck that I drive is 10 feet 6
Oh, dude, yeah.
Give you a height.
And for all those who don't know, he drives the UPS truck and you know the brown trucks. So the height of that is 10 feet, dude. That gives us a good.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. So we're talking easy, almost 900 pounds.
Well, you know what else? Like, how long is your truck?
Yeah.
The footprints
sizes,
were probably like where the front of your truck, and then the next footprint was at the back of your truck, and there was no print in between, right? So he was 10 feet tall, and what do you call it? The stride, was as long as your truck, about.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Run.
Yeah.
Run,
Enough
Forrest,
to keep
run.
me out of the woods for like 6 years. It scared me that bad.
Well, he said men's souls, so us women are good.
Okay, so awesome. Anything else? That's all you got. Right. Okay, man. Well, thank you, Danny, and we'll see you next Sunday, or talk to you next Sunday, and you have a good Christmas, man.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you guys.
All right, take care.
All right.
See ya. Bye. All right. Thanks for Danny and Ken for giving us a little 2 cents of what's been going on. It's been quiet lately, actually. You know, if you're not on Facebook or the internet, it's, you know, you can definitely catch the recent sightings and talks of what's going on, but otherwise it's been pretty quiet. All right, before we get into talk with Adam, we're going to go ahead and tell you what's been going on with us lately. Now I can go ahead and spill the beans. If you're not on Facebook and not a Facebook friend of mine or Alan's, you better get to it and be our friends, because that's where you're going to get literally the up-to-date news on what's going on with us.
And there's a way to find us on paranormalcentral.net. If you go to the contact page, there's a place where you can follow us, and you just click on the link and it'll take you to our Facebook page, and you just hit follow and you'll see everything we do.
Okay. So as you guys, well, now actually we can go ahead, like I said, we're going to be filming 5 more episodes of Paranormal Central, and this is going to be done in a theater in front of a live studio audience. And we have sort of kind of narrowed it down to the end of February, the beginning of March. And we're going to be doing it at the historical Crest Theater in downtown Fresno, who it used to be owned by, which we didn't know, by Mel Brooks, of all people.
Really?
Yeah. Mel Brooks used to own that until the owner.
Who would have known Mel Brooks owned something in Fresno?
Right. So we're going to be filming it there. I had the production engineer come down just yesterday, and he observed the location, make sure they had enough power, and everything is perfect. So we're going to go ahead and film there. So what we're going to do is the capacity, the theater is, it's cut in half to where they took out all the floor seating for stand-up, like for different types of concerts, and it's perfect for what we want to do, because we're going to build a set there. And up on the balcony, it's not way up there, but it's almost floor-bound balcony, but it could hold right around 500 people, she said. So what we're going to do is we're going to give away 500 seats. Right. And what we're going to do is, and I was talking to Steve Moley and my buddy who's in the production company, and we're going to film everything on a Sunday. Okay, so we're going to get in there on Friday and Saturday, dress rehearse, and then Sunday we're going to shoot out 5 episodes in one day. So what we're going to do is we're going to give away the tickets. We're not going to give them, charge anybody for them. From what I understand, people are already asking us for them. We found out that a major rock station here in Fresno wants a bunch that they can give them away on the air. And we're going to get hit hard, and these tickets are going to go quick. Because
I'm going to ask Jen Lip if she wants to do the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to get some people that you guys see on TV in there. All right? We're going to get some very popular people. I'm working on a band right now. I'm not going to even tell Alan yet until I don't know if you know who they are, but
I don't want to know. I just want to know they're good.
Okay. He is actually, it's a he. He is very well known.
He's a band?
It's the name of a person, and he's been around for a long time, and he's in, what kind of music would it be? Synth, keyboard, industrial, dark, but he's like one of the pioneers of synthesizers, and I'm working on that right now. I already sent them an email, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's going to be awesome, and I think what we're going to do is The tickets, we'll probably announce it on the day, what day, and we're going to give them away at the theater at the box office, and you have to line up to get some type of deal. But we're also going to give some away on the air here. The radio station is going to give them away, and I got a feeling, the media is going to ask for some. They're going to go by quick. 500 are going to go by like that.
Well, I mean, they still can go to the box office. We'll just have a list of the people that won them. And then they go to when they go there,
yes, they'll
be on the list.
Right, absolutely. So
we'll call it the A list.
It's going to be exciting, guys. I mean, at this point, we would never thought we'd be to this point where, they're asking for 5 episodes, and it might be even more after that. And to find out what network we're going to be on, that's going to even blow us away. So, just when you guys walk into the theater, picture the set. Like David Letterman, Jimmy Kimmel type of set, live band,
only spooky
and really cool. Mm-hmm. The atmosphere is going to be really cool. So, all right, so that's going to be awesome. All right, let's get into the talk with Adam Gorightly. Adam, the microphone went down.
Fix this.
All right,
there we go.
All right, Adam.
Yes, sir.
I did not know you were actually from Fresno. What the heck?
Unfortunately, somebody needs to be from Fresno. Actually had a lot of good times here over the years, and still got a lot of friends, family. So
that's why you're down here, right? You're visiting your parents up in Oakhurst?
No, I live up in Oakhurst.
Okay.
And I got family, brother, and sister-in-law down here in lovely Fresburg.
Okay, hold on. Your microphone is like going down on the... It's pretty funny, actually, because it's going down on the snow. I don't even want to tell you what it looks like, but hold on. All right, there you go. So yeah, I mean, when I found out who you were, and then you told me Oakhurst, I'm like, really? So you've actually written quite a bit of books. Let's talk about how you got interested in this stuff. What all Fresno people are weird? What?
It's going down again.
I need some kind of drug here to.
You have a real sinking feeling.
There you go. Right there. So, all right, there you go.
How did I get into high weirdness? I had some strange adventures back in the day, and I write about it. One of those in my book, Happy Trails to High Weirdness.
That's the book that's in front of us right now.
That's where you ran into Roy Rogers and the Happy Trails?
No, actually that came from, I did a podcast for several years. I don't know if you guys, Untamed Dimensions. It was kind of popular back in the day, 2006 through 2008 I did it.
Okay.
Similar to this, interviewed folks about conspiracies and the paranormal, on, and I'd usually close the show with Happy Trails from Roy Rogers.
All right on.
But as far as the Fresno, hand me the book there.
Yeah.
Jeff. There was I should read, this doesn't go on too long, but...
Yeah, go ahead and read it. Sure,
read my UFO experience to you, and let me preface this by saying that this occurred in the late 70s, and that was the period where a lot of us who are into this stuff, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and growing up through that whole scene, we all had kind of a yearning to see something. Mm-hmm. We also dabbled in certain psychedelics back then.
I wasn't going to say anything.
I'm not encouraging anything.
I wasn't going to say anything.
And I'm not encouraging the kids at home, but that influenced this sighting I had with a friend. What made it unique? Well, you'll see.
Go ahead.
Give me a second to find it.
Yeah,
but it made us more intelligent, I think,
Really?
Oh, yeah.
What happened to you? Boom, boom, boom. If I had a drum set, it'd be...
Enlightened you to...
But you know what?
I was totally enlightened.
Let me tell you something, though, and we talked about that last week, about these hallucinogenic drugs, that people were taking them, and what they were actually witnessing or seeing was possibly real or another dimension.
Well, that's where my research has taken me, because that's kind of informed me, and I started looking... Let me read this, then I'll give you my theories on that.
Sweet. Okay.
So this was a letter I wrote in 1986 to Jenny Randalls, UFO researcher. She's pretty well known.
Okay.
So, dear Miss Randalls, I would like to relate an experience that happened to myself and a colleague in 1979 in Fresno, California. Let me preface this statement by saying that we were under the influence of the hallucinogenic drug LSD. But hear me out, these are not the ravings of a drug-saturated fruitcake. I am not an habitual drug user, nor have I used LSD for several years. I haven't used it since the late 70s.
Okay.
But to deny that I was not under its influence when this incident occurred would be to give an incomplete account of what transpired on that fateful night. On the night in question, under the influence of said drug, we observed several quote-unquote flying saucers in several shapes, sizes, and multicolored variations. I am not denying that what we saw were hallucinations, but if they were dual hallucinations.
So like two people seeing it, the same thing.
Okay, now see, that makes the difference right there, buddy. Okay, gotcha. I know where you go now.
So we both saw the same sights and sounds. Now, a brief description of the event. The sighting occurred along a ditch bank located in a residential section of town. Where we were at is the Mayfair district.
The ditch bank.
Weldon Avenue, the ditch bank. Okay.
Wonder how many people out there in Fresno are thinking ditch bank.
Okay, no, wait a minute. The Mayfair district. Give me a. We're talking on Fulton.
Cedar.
Okay, so you're talking.
Cedar and McKinley.
Okay, you're talking Kenmore Drive area.
Yeah.
Okay, I know. I work right there all the time.
Right.
I work for the phone company. My B box is right there.
Okay, I used to live on Kenmore Drive back in the day.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But Weldon is Weldon runs through the Mayfair district there, so it's a little bit. North, yeah.
Of Cedar. Of McKinley. Gotcha.
We had a party house there back in the day.
Okay.
And so,
wow.
Now, a brief description of this event. The sighting occurred along the ditch bank. I talked about that. Before we arrived at the ditch bank, we were on foot. We joked to ourselves about how we might see a UFO during our little trip. You know, we were joking with ourselves back then, always talking about UFOs. We laughed to ourselves, somewhat uncontrollably, how no one would ever believe us due to the condition we were in. Anyway, after walking a short time on the ditch bank, we saw our first UFO, and I say UFO with the quotation marks. The sight of this made me fall to one knee, and we were both astounded by its sight. During the course of the night, we saw several, anywhere from 6 to 8. One was a cigar-shaped, one was saucer-shaped, one with a multicolored propeller. They got increasingly bizarre, almost as if they were like cartoons, something you'd see in a cartoon. This all occurred in the span of not more than an hour and a half, I think, though the passing of time was hard to estimate due to the effects of the drug. The last one we saw appeared like a falling star in the sky that seemed to stop in mid-descent, then turned into a spaceship, or whatever it was. After the sighting of this UFO, we turned around and headed back the way we came. Now, I realize the description I'm giving are a bit sketchy, but in retrospect, everything seemed almost like a dream, everything happening so fast. If I were to describe every little detail, we'd be here all night, so I'll try to wrap it up and sum up the experience in a few more words. When we arrived back to the point where we saw the first UFO, a beam of light shot down directly in front of us some 50 yards away, emanating from nothing we could see, just a beam of light. I said, "Wow, did you see that?" And my colleague responded that he saw it too. Of course, we said things like, "Wow, did you see that?" And "Oh my God," many times that night. Through the whole experience, we felt a presence communicating non-verbally to us. Obviously, we were the only ones who saw them. There were many houses in the vicinity, with many people living there who could have seen, quote-unquote, them, but it appears that they were for our eyes only. Perhaps they were hallucinations, but if they were, it was a dual hallucination, for we both saw the same thing. That was basically the incident that happened back in 78, which really got heading me down this path, looking into all this strange phenomena. Then you asked about different theories. After this happened, immediately after this happened, I thought, well, we saw, there were ETs, you know, that, and my buddy was with me. Well, I'm not sure. Then we kind of switched roles after a while. I wasn't sure. Then I looking at other things, read different books. I remember I picked up this book about, it was from a biblical point of view, that they were like, could have been demons, you know, so I was considering that possibility. Then got into, maybe you guys looked into some of this stuff like the My Labs theory, maybe some military mind control stuff, but the one theory that resonated and makes the most sense to me You guys familiar with John Keel?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and some of his theories, he talked about people under the influence of drugs. It's much similar to going into a trance state, however you achieve that. And basically like a psychic that tunes into different wavelengths and frequencies. That's sort of, I think, what happened to us. It put our minds in a certain state so we could see through, open up some type of doorway to see that, whether it's an interdimensional thing. So that's the theory that makes a lot of sense. A lot of these researchers now are looking into using infrared, which is kind of the same thing. You're tuning into a different frequency. So you got these guys with goggles now,
well,
picking up on stuff, and whether they're ETs or whether it's something perhaps that's been here on Earth since.
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. I know they're using ultraviolet also, and they're starting to see stuff with the ultraviolet. Like some of the ghost hunters, you know, they use ultraviolet.
Right.
And they're coming up with different light frequencies.
I kind of like go along with what you're saying on. I think they've been here a long time. I think they're other dimensional, and where you guys are at in your frame of mind, probably we're opening it up to where you could see into this other dimension. But I actually think they could see our dimension all the time.
I think too that makes sense that we're part of the experience. We're interacting. It's a two-way street. They're not there unless we're interacting with them. So there's some type of relationship with these beings. The friend I saw these with, we're still good buddies. We play written songs, music together, have a telepathy thing. So that might have played into the experience too. We were able to get kind of in some type of headspace,
Now, you took, what was that, LSD, right?
And once again, kids at home.
Yeah, now there are different types of drugs. I mean, we got meth, crack, pot.
Oh, sure.
Okay. I have never taken any of these drugs. I'm telling you right now, so I don't know the experience. So, the research that you have done, have you talked with people who have done other types of drugs, and if they have experienced, or is it the stronger the drug? Is it the more? I mean.
Well, there's a long history with this, and before getting into the drugs, I've looked into a lot of the classic UFO cases going back to the contactees. A lot of people write off the contactees now, the George Adamskis and those types, that they were hoaxing. But if you look into a lot of their stories, I've written about this quite a bit, many of them went... their experiences revolved around going into trance states, and they channeled aliens, and then sometimes crafts went down. So you see that reoccurring theme about approximating a trance state. Drugs do that. Other things can do that. You can stare into a candle. You can meditate. Those type of states. Whitley Strieber, he talked about, he was doing, before even he had his experiences, he was doing some type of Gurdjian chanting. You can do chants. It goes back to people who were doing Enochian chants back in the day. Dr. John Dee, we're talking about people going back a couple centuries. Aleister Crowley, he's the notorious black magician, but he was doing these things called Enochian chants, which were bringing up these entities. One of them, you've probably seen the picture of Lam, L-A-M, that it's this being that Crowley channeled, and it looks like a dead ringer for an alien gray. So these experiences were going on. He was kind of experimenting with different drugs. And as you go through time, now you can look at a lot of different experiences with DMT. There's a guy named Rick Strassman. You familiar with his book, The DMT Molecule? A lot of those experiences, in fact, all of them, basically once they did this under like a clinical experiment. test subjects, and they recorded what these people experiences, and each one of them basically approximated the same experience. They went in under the influence of the drug, and DMT is a very fast-acting drug. A trip only lasts 15 minutes, and then you're out. But they all described the same place where they went, this huge dome they were inside with these machine, they call them machine elves, that are very much like aliens. So DMT approximates that experience. A lot of people have had seen stuff on LSD. I mean, a lot of times it's just imagined, but it does open. Now, another one is ayahuasca. A lot of people are going to Brazil and those places to take the ayahuasca. Once again, this is like what we're talking about here is kind of a rite of passage, a ritual that people do under these drug things. And what's his name? Gordon, forgetting the guy who wrote The Fingerprints of the Gods.
Liddy? No.
Well, you know the Native Americans.
I was gonna go right there. Native Americans.
Before let me finish before you get into. A lot of the experiences on ayahuasca, and they go and have a shaman put them under, and it's not just willy-nilly taking of drugs. If you go and do ayahuasca with the shaman, you fast for several days. It's like an initiatory process. And what they've described, and I can't remember the author's name now, but they've seen, under these trips, they've seen alien grays. So you have these type of entities that appear during the use of hallucinogenic drugs. So it's much like a shamanic rite of passage, and that's kind of what my experience was, and it led me down the path to get talking about these things, researching, trying to find out what happened to me. So you were saying?
Well, the Native Americans, they do the same thing, like a sweat, and they use mescaline and some other ones. Each one has like a different one. Yeah, peyote, and they describe the same things.
So do you think by taking these drugs that they're somehow opening up the third eye and the pineal gland, and because it's
that's the right language, opening up your third eye
to see what's really out there, and we've talked about this, that there is another dimension, another area where I believe our government knows that it's there, and to prevent us from actually seeing the truth, they're giving us, which is in food or in whatever input that's it's
clouding up that third eye.
and I think that's what's going on, because I've heard this before, and here it is again. You're talking, you're writing about it, which is blowing me away, because I had no idea that you've actually did this, and this is cool, because let's keep talking about this. This is interesting.
Hey, do you know Bill Hicks, the comedian?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
It sounds familiar.
He did some outrageous stuff, and he was very much on the cutting edge. He was talking about politics and libertarian stuff, letting people, drug use and this type of stuff. And he experimented with magic mushrooms, and he's another one. If you look up Bill Hicks, and you'll love his routines. The guy was a genius. He died at a young age.
Drugs?
No, right as he was becoming popular. Pancreatic cancer, and a lot of people say, because Bill Hicks was into exposing conspiracies and stuff.
So they knocked him out.
There might have been something behind that, but
right.
One of his routines, people thought he was joking, but he talked about a trip that he and his buddy took on mushrooms. They went out to their ranch in Texas, and it was basically one of these communion with ETs, where they became one with the universe. So a lot of people are having these type of experience. Do you need drugs to open up your third eye? No, some people are born with. In fact, when you're a little kid, you're much more open to these type of things, and as you grow.
Emerald, when we're going to talk about you, okay? Is that all right? We are.
Now?
No, well, we're going to get into it
someday.
In a little bit.
We do want to talk about
Emerald. Yeah, Emerald has. We believe Emerald has a gift.
I'd like to hear.
And we'll get into it in a little bit, but yeah.
I don't know if that's a gift or a curse.
Yeah. So
a lot of people say that, you know that a gift or a curse thing.
I mean, I remember experience I had when I was a little kid. Flash on some of this stuff. There was a couple incidents, and it brings to mind that trance state or peeking into another dimension. There's a couple. I can still see these visions in my head. In kindergarten, remember finger painting?
Yeah.
I remember finger painting one time. I was gone into another world.
What do you mean?
I just looked at the patterns there and went into some type of state where I was someplace else.
How old were you when,
that was just like kindergarten. I couldn't tell it.
Okay.
You know, it was just a brief thing, but you notice when those happens, I remember this is another just funny story. I had this dachshund dog, Herman, probably around the same age. I remember I was staring into his eyes one time. It was like Fantastic Voyage where you enter into another.
Well, you know, between the ages when you're born and 7 and 8 is when all the young ones have these type of visions, and then at about 7 or 8 is when the pineal gland starts.
Well, they talk about calcifying.
Calcifying, yeah, and that's when it really hits you. Because all the people that I talk to, their kids always have visions or are speaking to people or kids or animals. And I believe it's because, they're at that vulnerable stage.
Now, what some of these drugs will do, it's just like a massive, big-time squeegeeing of that third eye, and a lot of times people can't handle it, So, once again, this caution people. And
now, we're not telling you guys to go and take drugs, okay?
Exactly.
That's absolutely not what we're doing. You can do this other ways. Like you said, meditation, eating right, not eating the stupid foods. And my wife is into the Monsanto, and they're organic. We're drinking.
No, she's not into it.
Yeah.
She's
No, I'm the opposite. I'm sorry, the opposite. Before she comes in here and throws something at me, yeah. No, she is. My wife is. She's done a lot of research, and that's exactly what the reason why. We don't use fluoride anymore. That's gone out of our daily use. Yeah,
it's hard to get everything out of your environment, but.
I'm not going to say what we're drinking right now, but that's messed up. That's a bad stuff to drink.
I need a little pick me up, but
yeah. I'm stuck. I'm addicted to that stuff.
I'm into got into this the last couple of years, juicing.
Oh yeah,
that's a great thing to do.
That I was into this, all.
Now we're turning into a health show here.
Like I was into like all the weightlifting and eating properly and juicing and everything, and then I got hurt and died, and there was almost like an LSD trip.
Oh, you actually died, huh?
Yeah, cool. And I went somewhere and experienced this other place that, according to the beings that I was talking to, all of us are going to go there, right? And one of the deals about it was how the big deal when you get there was how did you play in the sandbox, right? Like this is like a big sandbox, and how did you get along with people in? Were you rude, crude, greedy? Were you mean? Or were you giving? Were you nice? Were you all this stuff? And that actually, it didn't matter like how rich you were or your station in life, or it actually mattered how you treated people and how you were. And then they tricked me, and because I wanted to stay there, and they tricked me. They started talking about my family and my kids and stuff like that. And as soon as I started, I was thinking about that. All of a sudden, I was making light speed back to my body.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
That after that, one of the things that I know, and actually before that, I kind of thought it. We would talk about it like you're talking about when you're little, and if you ever I raised 6 kids. And the baby would be laying there, and all of a sudden it's like staring somewhere, and you just think it's staring off in space or something. But sometimes there might be something there that baby is actually seeing. And sometimes they'll even get happy and laughing, and whatever it is making a lot of joy out of them. And sometimes it's the opposite. You know, they'll see something and totally start panicking. And usually it's when they're really little and you can't talk to them and ask them what's going on. And I always thought that was kind of until I went to this other side, or this other dimension, and found out that maybe a lot of the stuff that's in the Bible and the demon stuff and all this stuff, UFOs and all that stuff, could be really real. And they can interact with us at will and be as solid as you and me when they want to be, or they can be just totally nothing, but still be right there and affecting your world, you know, and you have no idea except for what you're seeing or feeling or experiencing, right? Yeah, that was a real eye-opener for me.
Yeah, well, and that's what we tell kids when, you know, they have their quote-unquote imaginary friends. Oh, that's not real, forget it, you know, so it gets drummed out of their mind not to have that you know, open-minded sense of, you know.
Yeah, my son, you know, he used to see things when he was, you know, young. Inside, he would always be playing with somebody. I remember one day when I brought home the ambulance. I have a research vehicle that I turned in, an old ambulance that I turned into a research vehicle. When we first brought it, we parked it out in the cul-de-sac, and I have cameras positioned all the way around the house, and the monitors in the family room. And I don't know, 3 years old, he was looking up at the monitor, and he goes, "Daddy," he goes, "what's that black boy doing by the ambulance?" And me and my wife looked at each other, and we're looking at the, you know, at the monitor, and we're looking at each other, and he goes, and we'll go, "Christian, where do you see him?" He goes, "He's right there by the ambulance." And he's pointing at the monitor in the family room, which has the ambulance in sight, parked right there in the cul-de-sac. And then he said, "Yes, he's naked. He's naked, and he's standing right by the ambulance." And I get up and I run to the dining room and look out the window, and I don't see anything. And you know, we're tripping, and he's insisting, "He's right there, Daddy. He's right there." And you know, obviously we didn't see anything, but we were talking about that. And you know, the ambulance used to be a working ambulance in Fresno in 1984-85. You know, very well, a little black boy could have died in that ambulance, and being naked, you know. And my son was seeing. I mean, we believed him.
Or it was like a shadow or something.
No, he saw a little black naked boy standing right there.
Wow.
On the sidewalk right there in front of the ambulance, man. We were tripping.
Highly likely he died without anything on, too.
And you know, he could have been, we're thinking, you know, they were working on him, taking his clothes off, you know, drowning victim of some type, you know. So, and then he would, you know, he would be upstairs in his bedroom, and he'd be playing cards, and he'd be talking to somebody and playing cards with them. And, you know, that happened all the time until about 7 or 8, everything stopped. You know, and that's when the pineal gland, and with the research that she's doing and what I know now, it's when it completely seals it off. And then,
like 8 years old?
Yeah, that's when everything comes to a complete stop.
Well, then how would you explain the people that still see?
Their pineal gland, I believe, is not all calcified. I believe it's open, and it's not all blocked.
Because I ate like crap when I was little.
Yeah. Well, and it
probably still do. Huh? Same as me.
Yeah, and well, your gift, it's not all calcified. There's a little opening there. And let's talk about it now, since you brought yourself into it. Emerald has been with the Sanger Paranormal Society since the very beginning of time. That's
a long time.
Well, let's not take away from our guests.
No. I want to just really quick.
I'd like to hear a story.
What really blew me away, and this was at the Sanger Herald. We were doing an investigation at the Sanger Herald in Sanger. And I had a psychic who was with us at the time, and she was good. And we went in. You know, the complete area was dark where they print the Sanger Herald, the newspaper, and nobody really knew about Emerald. The psychic had no clue, but the psychic was in this room, and she was, trying to communicate with whatever in there. And then Emerald comes to me and she goes, Jeff, can I go in there with her? And I said, yeah, go. So Emerald walks right next to her, and all of a sudden the psychic turns around. She goes, what can you do? And she freaked. Emerald just looked at me. She goes, Jeff. And
I thought you had told her.
No, and she goes, what can you do? And her face was serious, like, man, you are something. What in the hell can you do? And she almost started to cry because she had not told anybody except me. And while I knew she had a gift because something has been following her since. How long has this person or this entity has been following you?
I had always seen somebody.
Right, and not just this person that we're talking about.
No, this one started, the main one, 5th grade.
Is it like? Are you scared of it, or is it like nice?
It messed with her. It messed with her.
Bad, yeah. Used to be scared. Now it's more like I'm used to it. Like if he leaves, I can't function because it's just like he's always been there.
Really?
There's a whole background. We'll do that another time.
How old were you? Like, how old were you then when you started figuring it out? What it is?
I thought it was normal till 5th grade when everything changed, and then it didn't get really bad until 8th grade, and that's when everything started going downhill.
Like what? Like what you call bad?
It just forced me into a bad place. Like I was getting in my sleep, I'd wake up with bruises and worse stuff than that would happen. Wow. And that's when I didn't know what was going on, so I became suicidal, and I just broke out of that, and that was all 8th grade. But after that, it's just now.
How did you get it to stop beating on you?
I fought back.
Really?
I had to pick up. Well, I think everybody goes through this thing where we break physically, mentally, and it's just you either stay broken or you pick up the pieces you want and leave the ones you don't. You fight through it. That's how I saw it, and that's how I still see everything. You got to fight through for what you want. So I fought back, and it was rough, but
I remember she was going through this, and we would have talks, and I couldn't help her because I just but how did you get to break it off? I mean,
I fought.
Now was this when you were
a mental fight or
sleep?
Physical fight?
I started fighting back in my dreams. That was the only way. And then, because that's all it was all in my nightmares. I didn't start seeing him out of my dreams until maybe the middle of high school, towards the end of high school. And that's when I see him outside of my dreams. And that's when I started seeing all these other things. I didn't see the other people or other spirits until
what does he look like?
High school. He's tall, white hair, but he's not old. Blue eyes. He's in a white tuxedo. White, everything's white, and then he has a blue shirt. It's the suit, and then the shirt's underneath it.
We always thought that it was from another era, another life, and it's you don't think so?
It's not. He's not. That's what the psychic was saying too, right. And then I found out later that's not what it was, because she thought it was an abusive husband from a past life, and when stuff started happening, I was like, no, this isn't a person.
It's actually been here for a long time. And it may be even attached to your family.
No, it's just me.
Why is he interested in you, you think?
No idea. No idea.
Huh.
So
I think, I know it's contract. I'm under a contract.
Yeah, I think we had that talk.
You're under a contract?
I'm under a contract. I was sold.
You were sold.
And I'm under a contract.
I know how to break that.
I've tried everything.
I know how.
I've had people.
I can help you.
We could try it, but it's not.
Well, I mean, you could ask Jeff. We were out.
Oh my God.
We were out at this one place. The demons go after me. I mean, people that have a demon in them will come straight through a crowd of people straight at me and attack me.
Let me tell you something.
But it's because I can get rid of them. And I can control them, and they don't like it.
Well, see, it depends what class too. You may have power over certain classes.
No, it's all of them. It's all of them. I've been to Africa and was It's a long story. I mean, it's a long story.
We'll talk about it later. Where
later.
you know, where we can definitely.
Well, I've been around the world, and I actually got put into right before I died, and learned some more stuff on the other side. I was actually like in a crash course of demonology, and didn't want to be.
I'm going to tell you right now. I have seen something that happened to him when we were on an investigation that just blew me away. This person that was supposed to be under a demon walked right past me, went right at him, and just went at him.
And never met me in my life, never saw me.
And said, "What credentials do you have here?
Right.
Where's your Bible? Who do you think you are?" And I'm all, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And I'm all, "Son of a," and then this person went into the house and did not come until he left the premise.
Yeah, it was actually telling the owner of the house, who has authority, right? You have authority over them, all of them. Doesn't matter how big they are, you have authority. But the owner of the property, who had authority, wasn't taking authority, but he gave me authority before she even got there. And then that was what the big problem was: is he gave me authority, and it knew it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went in the house, and it kept telling him, It won't come out of the house until I'm gone. It didn't matter about everybody else, that I had to leave.
She was laughing in my face. I don't care who you are. I want him out of here.
Yeah,
blew me away.
That's not the first time that happened to me.
Yeah, and that tells me there is definitely something about evil and good.
Yeah.
Oh, there has to be a balance.
There is.
I've always, ever since I started studying what I do, there's a balance. That's my thing. Like, I'm not into one religion or the other, but there is a good and there is an evil.
I don't go to church either.
I'm not, no.
but I'll tell you, there's a lot to what the Bible says, and people should, like, even now, right now, I was talking to Jeff before we got here. There's some stuff going down right now in the world that, if you read the last book of the Bible at this time, places us smack dab in the middle of that book. And if people aren't familiar with this book, then they're going to be blindsided by what's going down. And it is going to go down, and it is going to happen. And I mean, it's happening right in front of my eyes, and a lot of other people. And they're lost. The people aren't awake. They're asleep, and all this stuff is going down. And everything has to come to a light, right? I mean, to people's awareness, and they have to actually, like, if we want to change what's going on, which we have the power to change the whole world if we want, but we first have to say enough, and we'll have to stand up and be together and bring light to this dark thing that is taking control. But only the Bible says in the end book, it says we're not. And it's gonna, this other being that I met on the other side when I died, he says he's going to be the one that comes back and changes everything. So that's where I'm at.
What he met on the other side, we don't know. A lot of people believe in God. A lot of people don't believe in God. It could be our Creator, which is, we don't know.
Right? Yeah.
We don't know. I said, I was brought up Catholic. But now when I'm, coming to realize that, I believe in a higher God, a creator.
Right.
Who created us? We don't know.
See, I'm going to play devil's advocate, no pun intended, but it's just like you guys were completely opposite, because I read the Bible. I went to Catholic school, and I'm just like, okay, no, I'm not going to go that way. Like, I was more scientific with it, and I got a bunch of shit for that, but it was fun.
See, that was me. I was more scientific, and I never was raised in church, and I was doing LSD and
I never did none of
mushrooms, and I was partying. I mean, that was what my thing was, is if you can remember the 70s, you weren't there, right? That's the basic thing. So
what do you think, Adam?
Talking about all this stuff. Hello. I had, you open yourself up to all these things when you experiment with certain things, and you get involved looking into paranormal stuff. So my weirdest experience, I had that UFO experience, and probably around that same period, I was reading all the books, and books on astral projection I got interested in. I thought, this would be cool to astral project, you know. I'm going to actually put my mind to it and see if I can. So I read the different books and...
like transcendental meditation type.
Like actually leaving your body and going somewhere, like remote, almost, you know, what they do with remote viewing.
Now, was this under a substance or not?
No. Well, I mean, it was during that period in the 70s, but my experiences, no, I wasn't on anything because it happened during sleep.
Okay.
And there was about a half dozen episodes, and this is where it gets into a kind of weird demonic thing when you start looking into this area. You're opening yourself up sometimes. Perhaps you're not ready, you know. It's like a shamanic experience, and if you're just jumping in with not preparing yourself, you know, it could end up going south on you real fast. And so so the incidents happened. I'd be laying in bed at home, and I'd wake up, evidently in a dream, but everything was the same. Nothing out of place. I was in my bed. Nothing weird, you know, like in dreams a lot of times it's a combination of maybe your friend's house or somebody else's house, but this was very distinct. And so I started having these experiences where I felt this pins and needles tingling coming over my body, and I got this lockjaw sensation, like my spirit was leaving my body. And so I had a number of these, and I'd start levitating up from my bed up to the ceiling, and then, like I said, it was about a half dozen. One of the last episodes, I was actually flying around my room. It was like a little bird that couldn't get out. And I started hearing all these weird demonic voices chanting, scared the shit out of me. And so after that, I went, I'm not going to do this anymore. It scared the piss out of me. You know, so anyway, that's kind of along the lines of what talking about demons or whatever entities out there that we're not ready to deal with, you know. That's and schizophrenics and people with mental problems.
Maybe
their mental problems were caused by, you know, experiencing these things. That's what drove them crazy.
Or maybe a lot of these people who are intentional, you know, and you know, tied up someplace, actually can see, and you know, we just don't know it. But yet, you know, they're there on the other side already, and they can see, you know, the third dimension, fourth, or whatever, and they see these beings, and that's why they're freaking out.
A lot of people with, you know, psychic abilities too, or have emotional problems too, because it's hard to balance these things.
Yeah.
Well, the government, like now, if you research the government thing, they're talking about, like, the two things that's on my wall right now, my timeline and Facebook. My brother put them on there and says, do you think these things are related, right? And both of them talk about how this harp they have, they could actually do a certain kind of mind control. And maybe they're tapping into, maybe they, you know, they've found out how to tap into this area of the brain.
They're tuning into a frequency.
No doubt they can.
Okay, so
and you know, that would be the frequency, probably the same frequency that these people that everybody thinks they're crazy and can see stuff, or psychics, or all those people that they can tap into. Now they can tap into it by sending a frequency.
There's something they call voice-to-skull technology. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
It's a lot of the stories you hear about how the MK Ultra program has evolved over the years. Now they're using microwave things and things that can beam voices into people's head as a form of harassment.
Exactly.
If you're a political dissident or whatever.
Guys like us that talk about things on the radio and on the internet.
Well, I had some... Once again, I can't say if this was somebody beaming microwaves at my head or I was just having some weird physical anomaly happen. But in my book on the Manson family, I got into looking into a bunch of the conspiracies.
Okay, before you do that, describe. I mean, so you wrote a book on the Manson family, right? What was the name of it?
It's called The Shadow Over Santa Susana, Black Magic, Mind Control, and the Manson Family Mythos. That's a mouthful, and it's done pretty well. Over 2001, it came out. Originally, I self-published it, then a publisher picked it up a few years ago, and it's probably sold around 15,000 copies or so over the years.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it is there was all these conspiracy theories around the Manson family, that they were some type of military mind control experiment is one of them. You know, they were scapegoats. Just a whole slew of conspiracies. So that kind of prompted me to write the book.
Okay.
And when I was done, it ended up being like 600 pages. So some people have called it one of the most exhaustive book on the Manson family. But during the course of writing that, I was looking into all this MK Ultra stuff, and that's when I had a couple weird experiences. There was 4 of them. And I was sitting at home on my couch, eating dinner with my wife.
Now, this is after you published the book, or during?
It was during I was pretty active on the internet too,
okay.
So people knew what I was. I'm not sure if it had been, probably hadn't been quite published yet.
Okay.
But people knew me as a mind control researcher.
Okay.
And so I was sitting at home one night, and we're eating dinner, sitting in the place where I always do, and all of a sudden the temperature of my body went up. My wife looked at me, and my face just went beet red, and it felt like my head was ready to explode. I don't know. You would have put somebody measure my temperature. It was probably off the scales. You know, my wife looked, what the hell's going on with you? And a few minutes later, it passed away. I thought, well, that was interesting. That wasn't fun. It happened again, maybe a couple weeks later, sitting in the same place. The head was ready to explode. You know, what's going on? So I started thinking about, these are some of the stories I'm hearing about people getting harassed or having somebody shoot a microwave. It could be somebody sitting out in the street or somewhere, got a shot from a quarter of a mile. It wasn't the only time it happened. There's a Mexican restaurant too in our town. Went in, it happened again. 3rd time. A couple weeks later, went into the Mexican restaurant. Some reason I was sitting in the same seat in the restaurant. This episode happened again. I was almost convinced, yeah, they're screwing with me. Then that was it, and you have these weird things happen to you. Who knows what it could have been?
Right.
But
you know, people are.
But just to add on, I've researched different books, and I've had mail tampered with, you know, and I'm talking to people, and it's pretty obvious when phones are tapped and those type of things. So I've interacted with people that, you know, obviously are being watched. Maybe I'm being watched too. So when you dip your toes in these waters, you know, these.
Oh no, they're watching us. We've been watched for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in that same boat with you. You know, I believe they have the ability to be in the car and point something at you, and boom, you fall and you're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Breitbart, you know,
non-lethal weapon.
A non-lethal weapon. You know, they can point something at you, your heart stop, boom, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
People think it's science, you know, sci-fi stuff. No, man, I believe that stuff is happening right now.
Well, there's so much stuff out there that we have no idea.
Oh my God,
about.
Are you kidding me? You know, even when it comes to UFOs, they say if we find out, let's say we have a top drone right now and it's really cool and it could do maneuvers, you know, we're like 20 years way past that. And, you know, you know, a lot of this unidentified flying objects that we have right now that we're witnessing, a majority of it are ours. A lot of it's ours.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it just, we don't know what they are, you know. But yeah, you know, you know, conspiracy theories, you know, Alan was talking about things that might be happening within the next couple of months. Now, for example, well, let's get it back into the Manson family. What did you, I mean, you did research on the Manson family. What did you come up with? I mean, do you
think
whacked?
he was like hearing things, you know?
I mean, did they order him to kill certain people?
There's a lot of, when you start, I don't really know for sure. There's a lot of weirdness, and it's one of those stories when you start connecting the dots, it looks like they're connected to everybody. When the first time I heard the theory, that you guys might be familiar with the name Mae Brussel. If you're not, you should be. She was really the patron saint of conspiracy theorists. She did a radio show there in, where was she at? Monterey. She's famous in conspiracy circles. She started looking into the, she was one of the first people to look into the JFK assassination and get deep into that. And so she was doing a weekly radio program, and this was one of the first conspiracy theories I heard related to the Manson family. She claimed that the Manson family were a military mind control experiment that was basically set in motion by the secret government, whatever, MK Ultra practitioners, whatever the case may be, to undermine the 60s counterculture. And it, in fact, it did that, you know, after the Manson family murders. Hippies got a bad name, you know. You didn't see long hairs on television.
That's true.
After that, and to undermine the anti-war movement. So basically, that was Mae Brussels' theory. She interviewed this guy who was, his name was Preston Guillory, and he was with the L.A. Sheriff's Office. And there was a bunch of people monitoring Manson when he was out on Spawn Ranch, because they knew this guy was a parolee. He was up to no good. He'd been busted with minor women having sex with girls, having sex with them, you know. And Preston Guillory was on that with the sheriff's office there. He was told, and a bunch of others, hands off this guy. Don't bust him. And so this Preston Guillory later became a private investigator, and he said that, and Mae Brussels talked about this too, that it appeared that Manson was some type of agent provocateur. You had all kinds of agent provocateurs in the 60s. There was a program called COINTELPRO that the FBI and the CIA were involved with. And so if they wanted to spy on the Black Panthers, they'd get somebody to, whatever, affect looking like a Black Panther. If they wanted to infiltrate the Weather Underground or the Yippies, all these political anti-war movements, they'd get, you know, their agents to dress up like hippies, and they'd go in there and they'd try to undermine their efforts. They'd spy on them, plant drugs on them, and so that's one of the theories, that Manson was some type of agent provocateur they were using. Even Manson said as much in kind of veiled terms that he was being used. There's a bunch of stories like that. There was a Rolling Stone article written by a guy named Paul Krasner, who claimed that there was a guy with naval intelligence, and he even named the guy Nathaniel Dite, that was feeding the Manson family their acid, which was like military acid used to program them. And this appeared in Rolling Stone magazine. Later, Rolling Stone was sued by this guy, and they retracted their stories. So you got just a bunch of stories around Manson. Another weird one. Check this out. You know about lone nut assassins. Manson grew up in West Virginia, and a playmate of his at that time was named Sarah Jane Moore. I don't know if that name means anything.
That rings a bell a little.
In 1974, this was after Manson was in prison, Sarah Jane Moore attempted to assassinate Gerald Ford, but she didn't, and she got locked up. Around the same period, a lady named Lynette Squeaky Fromm also tried to assassinate Gerald Ford. She was unsuccessful. If Ford would have been assassinated, Nelson Rockefeller would have been vice president. What's odd is that Manson knew both of these women. He grew up with Sarah Jane Moore in West Virginia, and Squeaky Fromm was one of the Manson family. So there's all these are the type of connections. I could go on and on. It takes me
You know what's weird about that? Like, I have some friends on Facebook that they call themselves time travelers. And one of them is William Stillings. And,
I know that name, yeah.
And the other one is Andrew Basiago. Okay,
you know
now
him? Yep.
they all were kids when the government like
put them in
started
that program.
using them.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they said there was a lot of other kids. So who's to say that, you know, Manson and some of these other ones weren't like, and they said they were using a lot of brain, like figuring out this brain thing.
Well, West Virginia, where Manson grew up, is a very strange place. There's all kinds of spooky stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I have, like, Andrew Colin, he's the Mothman photographer. He claims that's Spook Central. That's where Mothman showed up in West Virginia in '67. And Manson was from that area, and there's a Union Carbide plant that was supposedly involved in all kinds of spookery. So it's a strange area, and so that's kind of the theory, that Manson was groomed as a child to be a tool of some sort. They pull him out when they need him. It's like Lee Harvey Oswald. He was
same thing, huh?
Well, you know, he was somebody who's probably a government agent, but they were grooming him. But he didn't know exactly what. He didn't know he was getting set up inevitably for the JFK assassination, and then when they pulled the rug out from under his feet, it was like, oh, okay, I see the game here that went down, and he gets shot a couple days later. Right. So,
you know what we're going to do? Emerald just brought this to my attention. We haven't given the book away yet, so we're going to do that right now to the 10th caller at area code 559-287-8367. 559-287-8367. Anywhere in the world you may call and be the 10th caller, and we'll give you this book, okay? And as soon as I get a call, I will let you know when we have a winner, and so that way you can stop calling and harassing her. So, all right, now,
what was it? It's Project Pegasus.
Yeah.
That's the.
Maybe I'm a bit dubious, but who knows? There might be something to it.
Well, I'm the same. Only, they say that even the president was in that.
Yeah. It's like the Montauk thing. I know people who were involved and say they were used in Montauk experiments. These were kind of time travel, dimensional, high weirdness. A lot of these people are on the scene. A good friend is Alexandra Bruce, who wrote a book called, I forget the name of her book, Montauk Experiments in Time or something of that nature. But with a lot of their stories, it seems like there's an element that's true, but then there's layers of things that are piled on top to muddy the waters, you know. So it's hard. It's hard to separate the wheat from the chaff sometimes, but it seems like there's something at the core of the story. But it's like a lot of things with mind control victims out there. That's gone on, MK Ultra mind control, but then you hear these weird stories about a program called Monarch mind control, where they see shape-shifting reptilians, and sometimes some of these stories are kind of layered on top as disinformation to discredit everybody out there. I think what happens,
Well, I think they do that on purpose. I think it's getting harder and harder for them. And I actually believe that the internet has a lot to do with it. Before.
Oh God, it's just an onslaught of things. It's hard to.
Before people couldn't talk about things. You had to have a coffee clutch or. And cell phones were not. What was a cell phone? Now all of a sudden you could get on Facebook and you could have friends from all over the world and actually have live talking but they have Skype. Sure. You could be looking at the guy while you're talking to him, and now it's a little bit harder for them to throw that mud in there when you're speaking face to face with people.
Right.
Even though still they can throw a bunch of crap onto the internet and see what sticks, because they're also monitoring that.
Of course, Facebook has its certain amount of trolls that are in there.
Oh yeah,
it's really bad. I'm gonna tell you, it is really bad.
I've had a couple of things taken off my wall. Talking about conspiracies, boop, gone. And that's the Illuminati stuff. So and that's something that you talk about in your books, Illuminati. I love that subject.
Me too.
Well,
they won't let me post stuff we do the radio show all the time, and a lot of times we're like going off back and forth in Facebook message, and not in the public, and come across articles that maybe you want to talk about, and then go to paste it into the message, and it won't even paste. I mean, it'll just sit there and say cannot handle this, or something like that. And it's like, what was that? And it happens a lot.
Yeah.
We got a winner on the book, guys, so you can stop calling. Thanks.
Who's the winner?
Get their name and I'll sign it for them.
Okay,
Ooh,
cool.
Hey.
Right on.
It's going to be an autographed edition.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
We talking about the internet, how it's became a great resource for sharing information. A little bit of my background. I got in the late 80s or so, there was something called the zine movement.
Yeah.
People were doing their own zines, and that's where I got kind of hooked into writing, because that's where a lot of the cutting edge stuff was before the internet. I was into conspiracies and UFOs and psychedelics and started writing for some of these early
the zine
magazines.
Yeah.
And they've evolved. I've written for Paranoia magazine. I've probably done 20 articles over the years, so they've stayed around. I've written for UFO magazine, so
Bill Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, cool.
And so, that's where I cut my teeth, and this was pre-internet. As soon as the internet came around in the early to mid 90s, that kind of did away with the zines. Now everybody's blogging and doing these type of things.
Like the Ancient Aliens guy, what's his name?
Crazy haired guy?
Yeah. he has a zine. I think he still does.
That's how he started.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's how they all started. That's cool.
I wanted to mention, these things jump in your head. Graham Hancock was the guy I was trying to think of.
Oh, okay.
Before Fingerprints of the Gods. In his book, The Supernatural, he talks about taking ayahuasca journeys in the Amazon. Shaman leads him through them. That's where he's in these during these shamanic rites, whatever you call them. He's seen the Greys appear.
Yeah, and I have a theory on that.
Okay.
And,
do you believe in like the Greys and the reptilians and?
I believe. I don't know if they're flying here from Zeta Reticuli, or if they're archetypal figures. One way to look at it, with those UFOs I described in my story there, we saw a bunch of different stuff that was changing, the shapeshifter guys.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I think it just might be, see through that window, there's certain energy out there, and we put our own preconceptions of what that will be. If you go back into the 1950s, the aliens that were being seen were blonde-haired Nordic human types. It wasn't until that started, the gray came into the nomenclature like around 1980 or so. So I think, if you're following me, I think there's something out there, some type of energy, but we put our own conceptions on that.
What do you think about the reptilian thing? Like when you go back and it's pre like.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Everything, you know what I mean? It where there's no records even any, and we don't know.
There might be something to that where talking about seeing through another dimension or opening that up. Maybe your third eye isn't calcified, and you can see that there's some evil people in the world that have that reptilian thing going, and they perhaps shapeshift. I don't know. It's possible. You see.
Well, I was going at like the Chinese.
Yeah.
The dragon is goes like nobody really knows how far back. The Mayans had their reptilians.
Well, it gets into like the Mothman too, and the Garuda, the Birdman, is something that goes back way through time. To my friend Andy Colvin, he has an interesting theory. He was in West Virginia. He grew up there.
Dang.
He had Mothman sightings back in the day. They called it the Birdman. Mothman, he's depicted as this evil being with red eyes, but Andy Colvin has a different theory about him from his own experience. He thinks he's it's a Garuda who came up there to warn people. The Mothman showed up before the bridge collapsed.
Right.
He sees him as a sort of guardian angel, patron saint. So pretty interesting.
I've never heard it put it that way. I've always heard that it was an evil and it would show up where a disaster was about to happen, and that's how you knew.
Well, nobody saw it do the evil thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it just was there beforehand.
Right.
Even though nothing's happened since I seen one like a month and a half ago.
Yeah. What did you post something online?
Yeah, I actually drew. I'm not a very good artist, but I drew a picture of it, and the thing was the size of a small Cessna.
Oh wow!
And when I got the binoculars onto it, it had wings like a dragon or like a bat, kind of like and they were black, and it was actually had gone past me, and I put the binoculars onto it and got it all focused in and was looking at it. It was like this dark brown fur, and it actually like turned its wings and scooped the wind up a little bit and slowed down. I mean, I watched the whole thing almost like in slow motion, and then it turned back and looked at me, and it had these big old red, like eyes like the size of a large dinner plate, and they were red, but they weren't glowing like a light. They were just red. Yeah. And no anything else in them, just like it was almost like furry red, kind of like. And the guy that I was with, he keeps on saying it looked at you. But nothing's happened since then. Yeah. And we watched it fly to us, and then I watched it fly away, and I could see it for a good 2 miles because of how big it was. It flew right over the city. It was flying right over Olive Avenue.
See, Andy Colvin thinks he's a kind of paranormal crime fighter. It's here to bust the conspiracy. So maybe if you look at it in that light, maybe he is trying to tell you something.
We get a lot of reports of the Mothman down McCall Avenue towards Selma.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. Now, since you're from Fresno and you've written a lot of books, what are the stories have you gotten from Fresno? And I want to know everything you know, like conspiracy, underground facility. What do you know? Do you know anything? Well, before we get started, the airport.
Sacktown Al, congrats, buddy.
Are you kidding me? They've been doing a lot of work to the Fresno airport. They've been beefing it up, okay? And I've been going, okay, I've been looking around for an area that could be considered to be used for a FEMA camp, for example. And I've looked everywhere. And at the Fresno airport, I've noticed that they've put up barbed wire around the jets and around that area. And I said, if they're going to want to hold people, that would be a perfect place right in that area on the southeast side of McKinley and Clovis Avenue. Then I noticed, as of a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, they brought in some like military, I don't want to say military, they're like ticket towers, what am I trying to say? They're where you could put military personnel in and guardhouses. They brought in 2 guardhouses, and they brought in the steel cement barriers, and they placed the guardhouses in the entrance way to the back entrance of the jets, where they keep the jets. And then they placed the cement barriers as if barricades, so if people start coming in, they would line up in front of the guard towers. And now they also are going to make a entrance now at Tulare and right on McKinley Avenue, just west of Clovis Avenue. They've cut a section like would be a perfect place to bring in a bus and dump people off, and they have to go and check themselves in. I'm going, why would they want to, if they're going to beef up security, which they're now doing all over the place and putting up barricades and all kinds of stuff, why are they making another entrance to the airport for the military side?
They put a, if you look where the new entrance is now, down
McKinley?
Yeah, they actually put in one of those X-ray things where when the truck drives through it, it X-rays the truck. I mean,
no, they're spending a lot of money, man.
Yeah,
they're spending a lot of money.
I noticed that. The only reason I know what that is because they have the same thing for the truckers when you get down near the border.
Well, for the people in Fresno, you know, the next time you are in Clovis Avenue, get on McKinley, start driving west, and we're talking maybe 50 yards. Look to the right, and you'll see 2 guardhouses that they brought in with cement barricades, like if they're going to start checking in people. Go and look. Okay, now back to Fresno. What have you heard in the past? I know you're from Fresno. You know, we've heard a lot of stuff going on here.
I hear it all from you guys.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, do you live here now, or do you live in L.A.?
I'm in Oakhurst.
You're in Oakhurst. Okay, and that's okay. Well, I had no idea.
So he's like in a perfect place. Like if something goes down, he's already bugged out.
Yeah, I mean, you're in Bigfoot Central. I hope you realize that.
Yeah, he is.
You are in freaking Bigfoot Central.
Well, we used to have Bigfoot burgers there back in the day.
Yeah, okay.
Remember that?
And there's a reason for that. Okay, so I mean, so you haven't heard anybody?
Well,
I mean,
as far as Fresno, this goes back a few years. There's UFO stories, some pretty dramatic
a lot of them.
Stories I've heard from friends. One area in particular caught my attention because somebody had seen something on around Highway 41 and Avenue 12 that goes.
Dude, that is like freaking everything is happening there.
Now, my friend Tom, I won't say his last name, back in must have been the mid '80s. He had an episode there where he and his girlfriend were driving 41 and maybe just turned on Avenue 12, and his girlfriend, they both saw it. What the heck? UFO came down to him, shined the light in to him, and he's freaking out driving, and then all of a sudden, they're in Madera.
So they got abducted.
It was like a couple hours later. He tells the story much more dramatically, but that's a hot spot.
That is where Adolf and his girlfriend got abducted, right in that area. Okay, and that's where we had a sighting.
They got abducted?
Oh yeah, we get abductions there.
I'll put you together with my friend here.
Oh, I want to talk to him. Yeah. We've also had where the guy was driving up 41 right at the what do you call it? Four Corners?
Yeah, Four Corners.
Four Corners area.
Yeah, it's
where
similar.
This thing here, the statue with long legs, but we're talking like maybe 15 feet tall, walked across the 41 like this. All right, and he stopped on the side, and then the car coming the opposite side on 41 also pulled off, and then they kind of like met up together, and he goes, "Did you just see that?" And the other guy goes, "Yeah." All right. For some reason, there is something going on there, and we're talking about abductions, UFOs, creatures, Bigfoot. Oh man, I don't know.
You know what comes to mind here? If you look back, there was a book called The Rebirth of Pan that talked about Earth energies and across. You ever heard of that book?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
There was back in the day. There was mounds all throughout the U.S. that people weren't sure what those mounds were, but in that area at Four Corners, it sure looks to me like there's mounds out there. Those might be power nodules that attract.
That well,
you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they're all over the U.S. and you know that could be very well where like the ley lines cross, possibly. Yeah. You know.
Who knows? Yeah.
A lot of times when they go digging in those mounds, they find giants.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in Mariposa, I was telling you, there's a couple guys there. John Rhodes, he's a pretty famous UFO researcher, and another guy named Tao. I won't say his last name, but he's
Worthington.
He's been involved in stuff going back to Dulce back in the.
Okay.
He knew the guy who supposedly was part of the Dulce War. I don't know, but they're in Mariposa now, and they've been looking into underground interests. And he's convinced there's a base there. He's worked as a government security guy for many years.
So you're talking about Dulce?
No, he's talking about here.
He was.
I want to meet that guy.
Okay, now I know where you. Okay, keep on going. Keep on going.
He has Dulce information.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
He came up with a Dulce map. If or a map of underground installations. If you look on, I'll get you some information on Tal and hook you up with him. Okay. He's a wealth of information, but he claims that, I'd ask him, well, there's stories of underground limestone caverns, one that runs from Mariposa to the Bay Area, and it's a big mining area. But I asked him, well, how do you know there's some government facilities there? And he goes, I've been doing this long enough. I go around and talk to locals in the area, and they start sharing with their stories, families of people who work in the underground facilities. Do I know any of this for sure? I don't, but he says it's part of what's called the COG, continuation of government. That's what a lot of the underground facilities.
Okay. Now, when you continuation, so when you say when the SHT hits the fan,
they'll have another. They talked about that shadow government when back in the '60s there was an installation called Mount Weather in I think it was West Virginia where they had it set up when the shit goes down. That's where.
So you're talking about
Dr. Strangelove,
You're talking about underneath that big building. They had I've seen it on TV. It was underneath a hotel or something, but underneath, I think.
That was one of the. Yeah.
Okay,
right.
where they had it ready for the Congress in case they'd come in and move in. Okay.
That was on an episode of Conspiracy Theory. They covered that pretty well.
Well, you know what we found, and this is only strictly by accident. When you go to the north side of town, there's lots of retired scientists, military, high-ranking military officials, NASA people. I mean, a lot.
They all live over here.
I mean, second, 2-star generals and stuff, all retired, all just kicking it over there on that side of.
I've also seen a couple of the Janet airplanes parked at the airport, and I know exactly what those are. From Area 51, they're parked right there at the airport, north side. After I talked about it on my show, they don't come around anymore, or else they do it early in the morning.
One weird thing I heard recently, this blew me away, was I was home up in Oakhurst and stepped outside one night, and it sounded, I swear to God, like 100 jet fighters. Just for 5 minutes. The sound lasted. It was like there was all kinds, something making a noise that went on for several minutes, like jet fighters, and you hear stuff like that. You go, wow, what the heck are they up to?
And a lot of, like, where I live at, I live northeast of the airport. And I see the helicopters they have the green helicopters. I don't know how many black helicopters. I was just watching one the other day, like 2 days ago, heading, like it would be going in your direction where you live. And it was totally black, no markings. And it was real high for a helicopter. And it was boogieing that way. And I see all these black helicopters in. When you go by the airport, there is no black ones out there. They're all green. It's like, where are the black ones coming from? I see them flying, but I don't know where they're staying at.
You know what? We got 7 minutes until the show finishes, but we're going to continue on and with live stream. And
you want to do that, or is it like not fair? I don't know, to the people on Dark Matter.
Dark Matter. So, I don't know. I guess we can cut it. You want to go ahead and just kill it then?
Yeah, cause, it's more fair like that. And then we could have them back. We could do like a sequel.
Oh, yeah. I'll come back anytime.
So, okay. All right. So, we got 8 minutes left. So, let's just, we'll go ahead and start, finishing off.
It's been like...
Dude, this is awesome.
This is like one of my favorite shows right here, this one.
This one, we're getting into everything, and that's awesome. I love
it.
It's fun. I like the... guys, MUFON dude you talked to, and the Bigfoot. Some of those, I don't know what to make of those UFO pictures, but they're very strange.
Yeah. You could go on our website, and there's a link to his site. Like he said, he had 6,000 pictures. I've spent hours looking at all the pictures, and they blow me away.
There's some really...
See, my theory is they have been here all along, and they didn't come from anywhere else. They live here. That's what I think. But,
what do they call that? The crypto-terrestrials.
Right.
Have you read Mac Tony's book?
No, but it only sounds good.
You know what? There are billions and billions and billions of galaxies with planets. You know, I just can't see us being the only ones out there.
Oh, no.
There's absolutely no way. So, but yes, you're right. I think, you know, they were way here before we were. And I think they're still here. And I think our government knows they're here. And I think they're in cahoots with them. I think there's some good ones. There's some bad ones. There's some ones that eat people, because we have so many missing people that go missing every year. And we're talking hundreds of thousands of people. Where do they all go? I know there is, you know.
Wait a minute now. Who do you think this is that's
I think, you know, and this is, you know, I think our government had something going on with some of these aliens and allowing them to do abductions on us, but I think it got carried away. And I think now, you know, we're in war with some of them. I think there are reptilians. I think those are the ones that are underground. I think those are the ones that, you know, our military are trying to keep underground from coming up. And I think they're the ones who are also taking these people and actually eating them, to be honest. That's what I've heard. And you know, from...
That's what the Dulce guys
Yeah, you
say.
know.
Well, yeah.
And I, you know, and I know it sounds absolutely ridiculous, guys, but you know what?
This guy who lives in Mariposa, I'll hook you up with him. He's one of the first people to start writing on Dulce, and he supposedly knew the guy, trying to remember, Thomas Costello, I think that was his name, who was part of
security guy
who busted Dulce, as the story goes. So Tal's very in tune to all this stuff, and his theory, and hopefully I'm not mischaracterizing this, but he believes those are beings that really came from the Earth. They're not from outer space. They're beings from the Earth, these reptilian types, and I've heard that theory put forth by other people too. We don't have that much time, but
I'm gonna show you a photograph, all right, that was given to us. I still have to give back, but it shows what we think is a reptilian in a spacesuit inside a capsule with some astronauts. I want to show that to you.
Cool.
That actually got stolen. That wasn't supposed to be left out, and the guy gave it to me, and I have it. I want to show it to you.
I'd love to see that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's awesome, and it's like I showed it to a couple people, and they're like, and they look at me, and they don't say nothing. They're like, you know,
it even has like a different patch.
Yeah, I mean, I have to get somebody to really scan this into a computer and really zero in on the patches on the arms of these astronauts or whatever they are. Well, I've got. Well, shoot, I just told him I have the picture here, right? Nice, Jeff. That's right. I'll hide it really well tonight.
Time to scan it like right away. Make 50 million copies. Put it on the internet.
We showed it one time in the other studio. You actually got it, and you took it in front of the camera before you were, you know, with me, and you showed it right in front. It's hard, you know. All right, next week we're gonna go. I'm gonna get this scanned into the computer,
right?
And I'm going to
maybe
show
put
this
it up on our website.
I'm going to show it to everybody next week, and I'll send it to the Art Bell people and Keith, and I'll have them put it on that website. But this is, you know what? It's people. There was this one guy we showed it to, and he said, "Oh, it's just a reflection off the elbow down at the very bottom." And I'm going, dude, I see a beak. You know, and it could be just, you know, it's an anomaly where we're trying, you know, I'll show it to you. Yeah. See, you tell me what you think. But, all right, we got 2 minutes. This was awesome. Thank you for coming in, Adam. I really appreciate it.
It was fun, man.
The book, guys,
it was really fun.
Is Happy Trails to High Weirdness, a Conspiracy Theorist and Tours Guide. Where can you get this?
Amazon's the easiest place. It's in some bookstores, but yeah, all my books are on Amazon.
Okay, and do you have a website? Yes, you do. What is it? What is it?
AdamGorightly.com and
spell your last name.
Gorightly.
That's easy. Gorightly.
Just Google it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also have a link on our website.
Oh, excellent.
They can go to, and it goes to your website. And later this week, I'll be putting you into the past show area, and I'll put links to the books where they can buy them. Also, and I'll have the link to your website, and that'll stay there indefinitely.
Cool. All right, you guys, we're about to get out of here. And awesome show. It was an awesome show. I guess one of our tops. Absolutely, it was awesome. So, okay, my name is Jeffrey Gonzalez with Alan Thomas and Adam Gorightly and Emerald. So we want to say thank you for showing up, everybody, and we will see you next Sunday, same time, same bat channel. Take care, everybody. Good night.